Comment time! Hi Oliver, I'm going to college for animation, and once I get started I'm able to specialize in 2D, 3D, or stop motion. Do you have any suggestions for how to make the choice, or what type to lean towards? Thanks so much, love your videos, and you're really an inspiration. Well, thank you. As far as which type to lean towards, it doesn't matter that much because you're kind of going to be using the same principles for all three. I guess in terms of accessibility, I'm a bit biased, but stop motion, because in reality to start stop motion, you don't really need to be able to draw or like sculpt at first, eventually maybe, because you can basically just move tiny clay people around like I did when I was age 9. Here's proof.
Spaghetti, spaghetti, it's a special food. Just get the meatballs in it. What's this?
Hi, my name's Oliver, and I'm a Robert Benfer ripoff. Back in 8th grade, I did a big project on stop motion and used a bunch of your tutorial videos as sources. So now, when I hear you talk in these types of videos, it's almost nostalgic. Nostalgic? Does that mean I'm old? What's your favorite color/color combination? If you had a tough time freelancing, considering how much detail you put into your work, it scares me to try it myself eventually. I don't think trying it is the problem. My problem was I didn't have enough, I guess, self-confidence to actually consider myself like a freelancer, because I would oftentimes feel like I was inconveniencing like the people who were commissioning me because I would be charging them money for my services, even though that's the whole point. But yeah, always like have confidence in yourself and don't undercharge, because ultimately the person who's gonna get like hurt because of undercharging is gonna be you. That person does not need an animation. They can live without it. You cannot live without being able to pay rent or eating food. Those are important. So like just have confidence in like pricing yourself correctly. And don't try and back down from that. Because ultimately, that person who maybe complains about your prices being too high will go off, and then someone else will come and be fine with that, and it'll work out. Hopefully. You know, I don't have all the answers here. I just know in my experience my problem was lack of self-confidence. Do you get any cramps or sore muscles from a long day of animating? Also, oh my god, we love you and we're so proud of your progress, holy crap! Thanks. As far as getting cramps, I used to when I was dumb and had my stop motion table like the height of a sitting desk, when in reality it should be the height of a standing desk because you're gonna be standing for the most part. So I used to be at a right angle for 8 hours a day or more because I was a dummy. But these days, no. I took into account the fact that I was standing, and now I don't bend over anymore. Can I stroke your hair? This question gives me deja vu. Also, no. How do you sleep at night with such nightmarish things rolling around in that noggin? I don't know what you're talking about. Do you have any wild stop motion ideas/concepts you would love to try but haven't gotten to yet? May it be because of time, materials, difficulty, etc.? Yes! All three. More on that later. Hey dude, what color's your toothbrush? It's like purple and white. Okay, these two go hand in hand, so I'm going to read them and answer them at the same time. A question regarding a heist with Markiplier. Was it your idea, or did Mark approach you for the scene? And what's the most detailed stop motion figure/character you've made? Okay, I gotta preface this question with a little bit of clarification because I think some people missed the hint about what project I'm working on in my last video. It is not a Leica movie, but it is a stop motion movie, and it's gonna be a really cool one, so maybe go back and check, maybe look frame by frame a little more, and you'll know what it is. So you tend to flip-flop between studios sometimes when you're an animator, And that's what I did. So about May of last year now, it's 2020, I scooted off like for a bit to go on this next project. But the thing is, I had like a few months time before my actual start date on this next project. So I was like, okay, I still gotta pay rent until then. So I was basically like, okay, I'll just like maybe do another YouTuber animation or something. So I emailed Mark and was like, hey bud, are you interested in me doing another thing for you? It'll be cool, maybe. And he was like, yeah, go for it. Hey, actually, we're doing this thing, and there was an animated segment we had planned, but it was gonna be like live action animated, but maybe we should go full animated. You interested? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, okay, cool. We'll get a couple more people involved, and it'll be great. So yeah, that's what I did. I ended up working with Gritty Sugar and Lixian, and they were doing the 2D stuff while I animated all the puppets, and it was like collaborative effort, and it was really fun. So yeah, it was kind of like this perfect timing thing where I reached out because I needed a little bit of work, and Mark was working on a thing, and it was like, okay, yeah, now I'm a part of a Heists with Markiplier. And what stemmed from that was, at least as far as I can tell, the most detailed stop-motion figure that I've made, which is this guy. There he is. There he is. The pirate boy. He's got friggin' hands and a lot of props on him. He took too long for that one scene, but I don't know. I think it's kind of neat. Has there ever been a time where you were really angry at your animation in progress, or angry at animation in general? So, back at the beginning of 2018, just when I had heard that I was getting the Leica internship, I was still working on the Cuphead animation for Sean. And at that point, had 3 weeks to move, but I also had 3 weeks to finish this animation because I didn't really want to abandon it, and I can't exactly bring my entire setup over across the country. So I was like, okay, gotta finish this. Had to do things really fast, and I had this puppet of one of the bosses from Cuphead, Cala Maria, the mermaid, which was like this big, and I put like 40-ish hours, I think, into it. And then I basically had to rush to get that shot. There's only like, she's only in like 2 shots, but I had like this whole plan of having like the snakes be rigged so they could like move around and stuff, and it'd be really cool looking. But then I got to that shot and it was just like so disappointing because the wire in her neck that was holding her head up just was not strong enough, and I'd replaced it multiple times to try to make it like stronger. But basically what ended up happening was, as I was animating, the head would just slowly go like this, and it got worse and worse because there was no air conditioning in the attic, and it just gets really hot because it was like May, and that seems to make the wire even weaker. So it just got worse and worse, and I was just trying to get the shot done before it just became impossible, and it was just like the most frustrating thing to do at the time. And once those shots were over with, and I was just like, wow, those look like garbage. They probably look fine with Kelly's actual 2D on top. That helped a lot. Thanks, Kelly. Foolish Kia, check her out on Twitter. So yeah, once I finished the shots, and it was just like, fuck. Long story short, that puppet did not survive. I killed the mermaid. Music! What have you been listening to lately? Neil Cicierega's Mouth Trilogy. I listened to it in my car. I don't have a problem. I do have a problem. I know I've tweeted this before from a while ago, but 140 added a 4th level. Will you do a Let's Play on that? You introduced me to the game and I loved it at first sight. It would mean a lot if you played the last chapter. I'm gonna have to say a hard maybe on that one, just because I've moved away from Let's Plays for a while, since I think the beginning of 2016 or something, end of 2015. But yeah, I do know about the level, and I did actually play the checkpointed version on my own time, but I'm pretty sure I only Let's Played the non-checkpoint version, so there's still a possibility I might do it, or I might stream it. Either way, probably something, just don't know which. I feel like I've done this bit before. What are specific artists you look at for either puppets, concept, backgrounds, etc.? What other mediums do you dip your toes into when you're not doing animation, if any? I honestly don't know. A lot of different things, mostly friends, and I guess there's Tool music videos. Oh, Robert Morgan. It's all the horror ones, or the horrific ones. Fuck. I mean, a lot of the older ones are like Robert Benfer, Clay World, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, Marble Hornets. Yeah, those ones. And then as far as other things that I do besides animation, I mean, music kind of counts. But I only usually make music when I need it for an animation, so I don't know. I'm boring. You are a heckin' inspiration! I'm so happy for you. I never really even thought about stop motion until I started watching your videos, and now, after watching your how-to guides and your videos, I found I really love to do stop motion too. Thank you so much for all the time that you put into all the amazing videos, and for the guides, and for everything you do. You're awesome. I don't really have anything to say about that one, that's just a nice comment. Thank you. Cranbersher, what's going on with the guides? Are you the Cranbersher that didn't want the puppets to leave? Did you get the idea? Why do you want to know the story? Why do you want details? Yeah, good question. What the fuck is going on? Ah, the confused screaming brings me such joy. So, if you're familiar with my channel or you've been here a while, you may know of a little series called Cranbersher's Guide to Stop Motion, which is a tutorial series, as far as you know. Unless you've seen it, in which case you know otherwise. So in order to explain this type of deal, we need to go all the way back to the start of my channel, which was probably end of December 2014, early January 2015, which was when I made the first Markiplier animation, which brought my channel from 11 subscribers, or 26, one of those. It was 11, and then I think I made the animation and some people saw it and it turned up to 26. But then, after it was put on Mark's channel, in like 3 days it went up to 14,000. And I shit my pants. But it was pretty cool. It was great. I feel like I've always liked entertaining people, which is why I want to animate things for people to watch. I think that makes sense. So when that happened, it was like, wow, I have like an audience that I can show things to now. But it was also like, oh fuck. People are expecting things of me, and YouTube is a place where things move really fast, and I don't think I can keep up. So I gave myself this schedule, and it was a really dumb schedule because it was basically impossible to stick to with animation, or at least the way I'm doing animation. And it was, okay, I'm gonna get something out every 2 weeks, and I soon realized that that was very impossible. I was gonna say very hard, but no, it's basically impossible. I tried this for a while. It didn't super work out, but then I sort of like added more things to the channel, and when I started the comments videos as well as gaming stuff, which I eventually stopped doing because it started getting in the way of, you know, that whole animation thing. And then I also started a series called Crambersher's Guide to Stop Motion, which is a tutorial series, and that was also supposed to be every 2 weeks, every other Wednesday. Whoops! And along with all this, I was also trying to create more short films like 476, even though 476 is okay, it's not that great. But I was trying to do that in the meantime. But I was also trying to like think of ideas quickly from that whole, I know YouTube is a place where things move fast and people want things really quickly. And then that brought me to a place of like thinking of an idea, starting to actually like start making the idea, ultimately realizing that I wasn't super happy with the story. And that kept happening, and it was really frustrating. So ultimately I stopped trying to do that, brought my focus in, and sort of like let that whole schedule go for my own mental state. But I also continued with Crambersher's Guide because I did really enjoy that, and people also thankfully really enjoyed it, and I'm just proud of, like, it's a thing I made, and I tried to make it my own. In the beginning, and it was really, people enjoyed it, and I was proud of that, because I mean, it's one thing for a Markiplier animation to get a lot of attention, but it's also mildly expected because, you know, people know him. But then this thing, I was just like, I did this, People like it. It's like wow. People like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I kept doing that, and then things started to happen around episode 6 and 7, as you might have noticed. A puppet showed up, and then another puppet showed up, and then what happens next? So at this point, I was like, okay, I've started this thing. Where does it go from here? And so I basically stepped back. It took a long time for the next episode to come out because I took like a year to write the whole thing from beginning to end, make sure it like referred back to everything that had already happened, even though there wasn't much because it was tutorials at that time. But I wrote it all, and I took my time, made sure I was actually happy with it, and I was like, at the end of it, I was like, yeah, this is like this weird. Shut up, phone. This is kind of weird story, but it's also I feel like I want to commit to it for once, and I guess it's a good sign because right now, like 3 years later, I still want to commit to it, and I have for the most part. I've gotten pretty far with the story. But yeah, so after I finished writing it, I still had this backlog of commissions, and I had to get through those before I could make the next episode, which was the walk cycle episode. But then it just took so long to get through this backlog of commissions that I was just like, I can't wait anymore. And around October of 2017, I paused on commissions and made another episode. And it was also really stressful because I was like, well, now I'm not making any more money. I'm fucking up my job. Why am I doing it for this dumb thing about puppets? It's based on ad revenue, and I don't have enough of that for this to be viable. So it was like this struggle. And as I've mentioned many times before, the end of 2017 was not good for me. And it was just like, well, shit, is this even worth it? And that was the point where I was like, okay, I need to open doors, or try to open doors, and find some studio work. And one of the main things, as I mentioned before, I put a lot of things on the back burner, and Cranbersher's Guide was the main thing that I put on the back burner. I shelved it and I was fully prepared to never touch it again, even though I had spent a year writing it. But then as months went by, I was working on still finishing that whole commission backlog with the Jacksepticeye one, which was the last one. It was the last one in the bunch. Then I got the internship, ended up having a job lined up. I moved back home after the internship, and I had this 6-month period. My start date was in April. I was moving out April 7th of 2019, and it was currently, at that point, the beginning of October 2018. And I was like, I've got this 6-month period. What do I do with it? I kind of want to finish more of Cranbersher's Guide. Since this is the only time I'm still going to have that whole attic with that white table where the Cranbersher's Guide takes place, up until a certain point in the story. So it's either all or nothing. I either get to that point where I no longer need that table for the series, or I just don't bother, because then I'm going to still have like 2 or 3 episodes left where I need that space, and it's 3,000 miles away. So I talked to Kelly again. I was like, should I do this? Should I make more Cranbersher's Guide? And she was like, yep. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So, and then I was at this point where I had to finish, like, it was either 15 to 18 minutes of animation in 6 months. Let's see what happens. So there was a lot of stress, a lot of planning, and a lot of being behind. In the end, I did it. I basically focused on like the hard stuff first, and the hard stuff was all the stuff that happens in episode 12. And you know what I'm talking about, unless you don't, in which case you need to watch Crambersher's Guide. So I did episode 12 first, or at least the hard stuff of episode 12 first, which is like the last 40 seconds, which took like almost 2 months. Oh, actually, no. I did episode 9 first. I did the facial animation first, and actually edited that and put it up, and then moved on to the last 3. Because basically the last 3 I could edit in my spare time. I just needed to animate them before I moved. But I put up episode 9 because it had been a year since the walk cycle episode. I was like, I need a new episode out, it's been too long, just to like refresh people's brains and all that. And then I could move on to just animating. So I did that. So I did episode 9, and then I did the episode 12 hard stuff. And then I think I bounced between episode 11 and the rest of episode 12, and that was the point where it was like, oh boy, it's February, I move in 2 months, can I even do this? So it was like, do I bother continuing? So that was another point where I almost just like gave up again, but I persevered, finished episode 11, finished all the stuff that I had done for episode 12, and then I had like 2 weeks before I had to move and I had to finish episode 10, because if I didn't finish episode 10, there would be these episodes that I couldn't bother releasing that I'd already put so much work into. I was like, I gotta get this done. I did it. I finished 2 days before I moved. I finished on the Friday and I moved out. I flew out on Sunday to move my whole ass across the country. And it was like, yes, it's done. Even though it's not done. But that chunk where I still needed that table in that attic was done. And I was like, great, now I can just edit it when I need to. And that's what I did. I edited it in my spare time while working at Leica. And then after skipping on, working on Heists with Markiplier, I was still working on it in the background. And eventually I got all the episodes out. And you've watched them, maybe, hopefully. I mean, a lot of you probably have if you're here. It's the only thing that's been on this channel for the past year. And now you know basically what it's about. Maybe. Basically what I'm saying is, there are 3 episodes left of the series. It's gotten this far, and I really would like to finish it. And hopefully people who've watched it would like to see it through as well. Only issue is, if you watched the last episode, characters jumped out a window. And the thing about animating in the woods, when you're trying to have your characters look like they're in real time in the woods, is that the sun moves. And a lot of things move, including wind and all that. So basically it would be a full-on production for these last 3 episodes. And that's expensive. And that leads me to mention that I guess I should mention it now. I'm setting up a Kickstarter for it. Slowly. Because I don't think there's any other way that I could finish the series on my own time unless I saved up for like 5 years or so, maybe more, maybe less, I don't know. But a lot longer than if I had more support from everyone. Especially if like you want to see it through. If you think it's worth it to finish this up, and I would very much like to, that's like the only thing that's stopping me at this point is like, I would really want to do it, but I just freaking can't afford it. So that's the only thing I'm mentioning right now is like, that's gonna be a thing in the future. This is a really bad pitch. I'll do a better job in the actual like Kickstarter video. But I'm setting up the Kickstarter and it's got some cool rewards and all that. You know how they work. Long story short is it's been a series that I've put a lot of effort into. And as far as I can tell, people have enjoyed it, which is nice. And it'd be a thing that I feel like I just want to finish it. And I've wanted to finish it for so long, and it's been one of the only things that I've felt like proud of, even though it's real weird. So yeah, if you're interested in doing that, look out for that Kickstarter. It's probably going to be the next video that comes out on this channel is the trailer for it. So I'm going to do a very YouTuber thing right now and say hit that bell in case you don't want to miss it. Because I don't know if YouTube sub box works. I don't know any of that shit. Oh well. Just as a precaution. Also, if you want an extra precaution, follow me on Twitter. Yeah, because that's where I'm going to talk about it most. I'm most active there, even though I tweet a bunch of dumb shit all the time. If you've enjoyed the series so far, I think you'll enjoy the rest. I'll say that. And there will be more info in the future. That's just like me out of the mouth current thoughts on it. Because I still need a lot of work to put into it. I still need to put a lot of work into it before I feel comfortable like launching it, because I want to make sure it's done right, and I want to make sure it's like worth your time if you decide to donate to it. Does that make sense? Okay. I hope you enjoyed this comments video. Sorry about the little blurb at the end, but I figured I should get the word out a little bit early if you're akin to wanting the series to reach a conclusion. That's it. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in whatever I decide to make next. Take care. Bye.